Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Francesca back with another reaction video. Today I'm going to be looking at Bill Maher and Billy Corgan on why violence has no place in politics. This is going to be almost a 9-minute video for me to react to. So sit back, get some popcorn, because I'm just going to see what they have to say. I believe Bill Maher is going to touch on some sensible notions, which he does frequently at times. I shouldn't say frequently. I should say at times. I do believe it's very important to show logic, common sense, and reason wherever it's coming from. So let's jump right into the video and find out what it's all about.
We're in crazy time, Hart.
Well, look, I might drink a little more than usual today because, I mean, I don't know when this is airing, but this is a shit day because a guy who sat there, Charlie Kirk, got shot today.
Yeah.
And I can't stop thinking about it.
Neither can I.
And we shouldn't. And if you're on the other side of the political divide and you don't care because the wrong team guy got shot, fuck you. You're what's wrong with this country.
I love when our country can yell, scream, point, cajole, mock. Anything past that, I just can't. I can't.
Right. No, I have, well, I'm going to be all over this Friday night on my show, of course, but just the fight I have been having with the left, while I'm, of course, the irony, as a lot of people in my position, is still a liberal, just a traditional liberal, won't go along with their, like a lot of the stuff that's just crazy out there.
I want to tell him. I don't think Bill Maher is as liberal as he thinks he is, considering the extreme that the left has gone to. He could be a traditional liberal in the sense of like a 1990s traditional liberal, but now I'm thinking even the left would at least characterize him as center. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Won't go along with their, like a lot of the stuff that's just crazy out there too far, which gets Trump elected, blah, blah, blah. As I always say to my woke friends, we voted for the same person. You're just why she lost.
Took me
Like, we would ever want that in office. This is where it's like, he sometimes says simple things, and I'm just like, why would you elect her ever? They might be on me, but that's okay. Let's continue.
second. Sorry, I had to absorb that.
Okay. You know, they're the people who don't want to talk. It's my main issue with them. And Charlie Kirk was a guy who, like, he was always talking. And I talked to him here, you know.
Would debate absolutely anybody who was willing to have civilized conversation with him.
The right-wingers, say what you want about them, but they talk to you. They're not into this leftist think. The left really has much more of a, I don't talk to you, I don't want to deal with you, you're deplorable.
Othering. The left literally others the right and dehumanizes them to no end. And that's ridiculous. That is so low intelligence that I don't even know what to say about it. It's definitely not critical thinking. It's that they put themselves in an echo chamber and completely closed it off. And anyone who doesn't agree with their cult mentality is demonized.
I can't break bread with you.
Yeah. Well,
that attitude, and like all the right-wingers, they don't have that attitude. No, again, I didn't vote for them.
Nope.
And Charlie Kirk and I certainly don't agree on much politically. But he sat here, he's a human being, he's not a monster.
And a husband and a father.
Yes, and I liked him. I liked them all. They're all nice people when you meet them in person, and they're not as crazy as they would, nobody's as crazy as they make them out to be. And we're never gonna solve this unless it begins with both sides agreeing, we both do it.
This is where I think I was a little distracted for a second because I didn't catch this part of the video or I would have jumped all over it. And that is the fact that, yeah, sure, We can say that we both do it, but the fact of the matter is the left is so much more guilty of this than the right, especially recently. Actually, I don't know that, actually historically, I would probably say that it is, that they are more violent in general.
You know,
Yeah.
the right absolutely is full of.
Well, violence has to be off the table. It's just
Right.
It can't be, well, in this instance, or I can't. You just can't. And maybe people aren't sophisticated enough because they don't really.
No, we're regressing into primitive behavior. In 2025, primitive. I can't. I shouldn't be so angry about it, but I am, because I feel like it's just gotten worse. I know people are people, but I still feel like it's gotten worse, and we can do better.
Know the world, and I'm not just talking historically. I mean, the world. It's a complicated world, and if you've traveled at all, you become grossly aware of how different the world is outside of America. And if you've been anywhere where sectarian violence has been part and parcel of the history, you know, that stuff doesn't go away on one election cycle. You're talking to people who, like, you know, it's going back hundreds of years. You know,
Sarajevo.
Sure. I mean, a guy works for me who's literally in America because he had members of his family murdered during that whole, you know, that, I don't even know what you call it, because we tried not to call it a war, but I'm saying
the Balkan Wars.
Sure, but I'm saying, don't forget the propaganda of the time, you know.
But I mean, in the 90s, I mean, you mentioned sectarian. Okay. Sarajevo, when it was Yugoslavia, was a city of Muslims and Christians. It was in the it hosted the Winter Olympics, and 8 years later, people were getting shot when they went out to get milk because there were snipers.
Yeah.
It is not crazy to think that something similar could happen here. I mean, people have been talking for a while about a low-grade civil war. This is what it means to start one. And like I said, both sides, you mentioned political violence. At the State of the Union, Biden's last one, he said political violence has no place in our society, something like that. And
don't agree with Biden most of the time, but I agree with that.
The Democrats all stood and clapped, and the Republicans sat there like, and it's like, really? You can't applaud for that, you fucking assholes? And again, unless we start with...
And this is where Maher loses me a little bit, because it's like, and what about when the firefighter died, when Trump almost was assassinated? The Democrats couldn't stand for that. They couldn't stand for, I think it was a little boy with a disability that got some kind of award. I can't remember exactly, but they wouldn't clap for that. So let's not pretend that the right is any worse in this respect than the left. The right probably didn't clap because the right probably didn't believe Biden when he said it.
Both sides, the Luigi Mangionis, which is like, you know, I hope this isn't becoming like a copycat thing. Like, oh, this is cool.
That's why I think we need to.
I think that's the biggest fear for everyone, is that it becomes a copycat thing, because we cannot normalize this kind of thing in society. We need to keep free speech, and free speech means that you are not jailed and you are not killed for your beliefs.
Say, culturally, societally, left, right, American, don't care, ambivalent. Political violence has to be off the table. It cannot be an instrument to achieve goal. It just can't. It can't be rationalized.
That's called fascism. Let me say it again. That's called fascism. When you mock somebody's death for speaking, that's not fascism. That's just you condoning fascism. But it's funny that you try to call the guy that died a fascist when the person that killed him is the real fascist. And y'all celebrating it are just celebrating fascism.
Can't be asterisked. It just can't. It just can't, because what we have is so rare. And both of us are the beneficiaries of a free market system. And that free market system's not fair to everyone. But
And free speech system.
well, that's always been my biggest thing. Anytime I've ever stepped in the political arena, and it's been very, very brief, I've always made the same point. As an artist, if I don't stand for free speech, I mean, what do I stand for? Because invariably, somebody's going to stand up and say, you can't say that, you can't sing that, right?
And we do have limits, as we should, which is something that is directly threatening to, specifically to a person or inciting violence, very specifically. Of course, and we do, that is already in our canon. But
it's like when you have kids and you say to your kids, like, they want to argue a point, you go, yeah, but you know what you did was wrong. Okay, so I think most people understand where the line is. They want to pretend that they forgot.
I would debate that. I believe some people feel very virtuous and righteous in making terrible decisions because we've given them all kinds of ideologies and philosophies to basically justify their terrible thinking and actions. So I'd say sometimes people that are extreme like that believe that they're doing something wrong, but other times they actually believe that they are doing the work of the people, so to speak, even though it couldn't be further from the truth.
Got it, or
do kids know what they do is wrong? I mean, I'm
my
not,
children do.
Really? How do they know? Because they're kids.
Because they just know. No,
Really?
No, I'm saying. I'm making a very simple point.
But I'm really asking because I don't have kids, and I feel I feel like kids, being kids, who are you're not born knowing anything, so you kind of have to learn it. I feel like kids are feral, and
well, Bill,
what?
Well, you don't have kids. I'm saying is I don't think they're as feral as you think they are.
From when I am out in public,
yes,
and like many times over the years, like going into a hotel, say,
yeah,
and there will be kids that are coming through in the lobby or something, or when you're going up to your room in the hallway. No, they're feral. They are absolutely feral, and they also are born without any sense of right and wrong. Did you ever read Lord of the Flies?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, Lord of the Flies, great book.
I would agree with him. This goes back to the blank slate idea that I can't think of the philosopher that came up with it at the top of my head. But I believe that we're kind of born as a blank slate, and we learn. We learn what's right and wrong. We learn all kinds of ways, through society, through text, through our parents.
And it's about kids who, what are they, on a desert island or
Sure.
something? And it just shows how feral they are and atavistic and how awful they are to each other because you have to be taught to be a good person.
I don't totally agree with you if you want to.
Well, tell me.
Okay. My sense of it is, and I go back to my own relationship to myself as a child, which was complicated, but what I try to talk to my kids about was, when you did that, did you feel good or did you feel bad? And that's what I mean about a sort of innate sense of right or wrong. Like they know deep down that even no matter how they just...
Because he taught them, because they had examples in their life that they learned from. It's so funny to me that people don't think children are affected at extremely young ages. Like kids, you do get taught or you don't. In societies where they don't teach their children right from wrong, children are more feral. For parents that don't enforce boundaries and don't teach emotional regulation, those children are more feral. That's just how it is. You have to teach them.
Justify their behavior, and oftentimes they have a good, he stole my toy, that type of thing. But deep down they admit that they don't feel good about what they did. And I think that to me is the delineating point that says on some level humans are hardwired to have some innate moral sense. That's just my take.
Then why are so many of them incorrigible schmucks? Why is there so much evil in the world? Why is there so much crime? Why is there so much...
Why is everything so corrupt? Because we run on greed. Because that is primitive. Humans are animals first, and we have a great prefrontal cortex that helps us use logic, reason, and common sense to get to better places. But without that, we would just all be running around trying to scavenge and survive.
Merciless activity wrought by one human being onto another. Man's inhumanity to man, we all know that phrase. Where does that come
Yeah,
from?
I mean, I tend to default to there are systems in place that want to exploit human decency. In essence, if you can separate a human from their own decency, well, there's a lot of money to be made.
So true. If you can separate a human from their decency, there's a lot of money to be made. That is extremely on point. Despite all the other things he was saying that I did not agree with, that I do agree with. So that was my reaction to Bill Maher, and I'm sorry, I should know the other guy's name, Billy Corgan. I hope I'm not butchering that for some reason. But basically, common sense. We need to not condone political violence. We need to teach our children how to be better. We need to teach right from wrong. Certain things are right, certain things are wrong, morally speaking, for everyone, not just an individual person. But if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and peace out.